She was an outsider, the woman the world called a homewrecker. And now? She wears diamonds that once sat on the head of the most powerful queen in history. But here's the thing no one is telling you. One of those tiaras hasn't been seen in public in decades. And Camilla just put it on like it was nothing. We're talking about a collection that spans over 130 years of royal history. Pieces worn by queens, by princesses, by women who shaped the British Empire. And Camilla Parker Bowles, the woman Charles's own mother reportedly never fully forgave, is now the one wearing them all. But here's what nobody's talking about. One tiara she wore, it was only the third time it had been seen in public. Ever. Another one hasn't been seen since a wedding in 1893. And one she wore was literally constructed from rubies gifted by an entire nation. Wait until you hear the full story behind each one. Because this is not just about jewelry. This is about power, legacy, and a woman who rewrote her own story, one diamond at a time. Let's go back to 2005. Camilla has just married Charles 6 months ago. No tiara at the wedding. She didn't feel it was appropriate. She was the second wife. She knew how the world saw her. But then, an invitation. A state banquet at Buckingham Palace. The Norwegian royal family is visiting. And Camilla? She has to show up, fully, as a royal. So she reaches for something extraordinary. The Delhi Durbar tiara. This piece belonged to the late Queen Elizabeth. It had only been seen in public twice before. And Camilla wore it with such confidence. Like she'd been born to do this. The world watched, cameras flashed, and just like that, the outsider had arrived. Now, if Camilla has a tiara soulmate, it's this one, the Greville tiara, also called the Boucheron honeycomb tiara. And yes, it's as breathtaking as it sounds. Here's the thing about this tiara though. It's not officially part of the crown jewels. It came from the estate of Dame Margaret Greville, a society hostess, a woman of extraordinary taste, who left it to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. When the Queen Mother passed in 2002, it passed to Queen Elizabeth. And now? Camilla wears it like it was made for her. She's worn it at Commonwealth banquets. She's worn it paired with 5-strand pearl chokers. She's worn it at receptions for over 1,000 diplomats at Buckingham Palace. अब आगे जो हुआ वो आप सोच भी नहीं सकते. Because Camilla didn't just borrow this tiara. She made it hers. Now this one hits differently. In 2015, Camilla wore a tiara that wasn't from a queen. It wasn't from a palace vault. It was her grandmother's. The Cubitt tiara, an antique diamond piece, belonged to Sonia Keppel Cubitt. Camilla inherited it from her own mother. And here's the bittersweet part. She had actually worn this tiara before, at her first wedding. In 1973, when she married Andrew Parker Bowles. That marriage ended in divorce in 1995. That relationship with Charles caused a royal scandal. And yet, the tiara survived all of it. There's something deeply human about wearing your grandmother's diamonds after everything life has thrown at you. This next part is going to change everything you thought you knew. September 2022. Queen Elizabeth passes away. Charles becomes king. And Camilla, she becomes queen consort. And almost immediately, she reaches for something historic. The Belgian sapphire tiara. A piece that belonged to her mother-in-law. The woman whose shadow she lived under for decades. For the very first state visit of the new reign, welcoming the President of South Africa, Camilla wore it. With the coordinating necklace, the bracelet, the full set. It was a statement. It was intentional. She wasn't borrowing anymore. She was continuing a legacy, and then, just 2 weeks later, She wore it again, bold, confident, unbothered. वो एक बार नहीं, दो बार. Like a queen who has nothing to prove. In 2023, Camilla wore a tiara that Queen Elizabeth wore so often. It literally appeared on British coins and banknotes. The Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Originally made in 1893 as a wedding gift, modified by Queen Mary herself, who swapped out Baroque pearls for diamonds, worn by Queen Elizabeth at her very first official royal portrait in 1952. And now Camilla debuted it at the Mansion House in London. Generations of royal history. On her head, in one evening. Then came the Burmese ruby tiara, made in 1973. The same year Camilla got married the first time. Constructed from rubies gifted by the entire people of Burma. Diamonds from a deconstructed tiara. The Nizam of Hyderabad tiara, that no longer exists. She paired it with a scarlet red gown and ruby earrings and necklace from the late Queen's private collection. The room must have stopped breathing. But the biggest moment? The one that circled all the way back to history? The diamond diadem, made in 1820 for the coronation of King George IV. It's been on stamps, on coins, on portraits. It's one of the most recognized pieces of royal jewelry in the world. And in 2023, Queen Camilla wore it for the first time. Think about that. A woman who was once written off. Who was called the reason a fairy tale marriage fell apart. Who wasn't even allowed a tiara at her own wedding to Charles. Now stands in Parliament. In a tiara made for a king's coronation 200 years ago. She started her royal journey borrowing a tiara in 2005. Nervous, new, unsure of how the world would receive her, and she ended up wearing the diamond diadem. Camilla didn't just join the royal family. She became part of its history. So here's what I want to know. Camilla's journey, from the woman the world judged, to the woman wearing some of the most historic jewelry in British history. Do you think she's earned her place in the royal family? Or do you think this chapter of history should have been written differently? Comment below. Team Camilla ya Team Diana era forever? I read every single reply. And if you're new here and you love royal deep dives like this, subscribe, because we go places the mainstream media doesn't. I'll see you in the next one.